Okay, this is a video on measuring tread depth. I've got 3 different tread depth gauges here sitting on top of a tire that's obviously off the car. Now when we look at these tread depth gauges, you're going to see that they're marked in 30 seconds. Zoom in a little bit here. There we go, 30 seconds. And that spirals around because a 32nd of an inch is pretty small. They may also be marked in millimeters. These 2 gauges are the same brand. One side, you can see the red there on the left one. One side is in 30 seconds and one is in millimeters. And then this one is actually color coded. So now we're going to go over how to use a tread depth gauge. First off, we need to check, and this is a step that's skipped by a lot of folks, and we need to check to make sure that the tread depth gauge actually is zeroed. So how you use a tread depth gauge is you push that down. But to check zero, we need to put it on a flat surface. Notice I'm not putting it in the groove right now. And I can use any flat surface. I could also use the lift arm as well. What I'm going to do is push this down. And that is now flush. And so this should read 0. Okay? And I may need to zoom in so I can see that better. A little hard to do these videos by yourself. There we go, we can see 2, 1 as I rotate it, and that is right on the 0 line. So that tells me that 0 is 0, and that's pretty important. Now, if it's not 0, you can use a pliers, all right? And this end, this metal piece here, actually is press fit into this plastic slider, and you can use a pliers to rotate it and pull it out slightly, or you can, you can use the pliers as well as or a little hammer to tap it in if it needs to go in a little bit. But the key here is to make sure that 0 is 0. And here I'm going to do this one as well. Again, just on a flat surface. I'm not measuring the tread right now. Notice that one's down a little bit. All right, I can just barely see the 0 line under there. I'd probably leave that one alone and just realize that if I'm just covering up the line, then that's the measurement. Okay, and if I rotate this, I can see that the 0 for 30 seconds is also just covered up. All right, but again, that plunger right there can pull in or push out, so check your 0 first. All tires sold in the United States and probably worldwide have wear bars that are incorporated into the tread grooves. The wear bars in the United States are 2 32nds of an inch or a 1/16, but we traditionally measure tires in 30 seconds. Those wear bars, once the tread wears down, because remember this tread is wearing down on the roadway and you're losing this part of it. When that is level with that wear bar, that means the groove is only 2 32nds deep and your tires are no longer legal. Some states have requirements that require greater tread depth than 2 32nds. For instance, Colorado in the wintertime requires 6 32nds of tread depth. So how we measure tread depth is we put the plunger down, okay? We put it in the groove, but not on the wear bar. We don't want to measure at the wear bar, and we push this down. So that right there represents the tread depth, how far that sticks out. And then I look at my gauge here, and I look like I'm about 3 32nds, just a little bit below that. All right, so 3 32nds in Kansas would be legal. However, my personal requirement, and I don't like to spend money, is 4 32nds. And the reason for that is because the rainwater on the road has to have somewhere to go because the tire can't push it out of the way fast enough. So you can see here that when I measure the middle groove, I'm again around 3 to 4. Sorry, that's not in focus. Maybe if I zoom out, there we go. There you can see it's between 3 and 4. Or actually I should say zoom in. It's just under 4. So, and then if I measure this outside groove, again, I'm not measuring on the wear bar right there. I'm measuring right there. And I have 3 32nds. My personal is 4 32nds. I really don't want a hydroplane, so I want these grooves to be at least 4 32nds deep. and at that point I get new tires. I'm going to show you that again. I have my tread depth gauge here. I'm going to check it's 0, so I push it out, put it on a flat surface. It's on 0 when it's flush. I push the plunger down again, put that in the groove, check my tread depth. I'm at 3/32 on this side. I typically measure tires, and you should too, is measure the outermost groove, a middle groove, and an inner groove. The wear should be the same. If the wear is not the same, that's indicative that you probably have an alignment, a misalignment, and you need alignment done, or you have suspension parts, bushings that need replaced. Bad suspension bushings and or misalignment, say you hit a curb and the steering wheel is slightly crooked. Misalignment can ruin a good set of tires in 100 to 200 miles. And considering the cost of a set of tires, you probably want to take care of that because they should last you anywhere from 40 to 60,000 miles. All right. This is a different tire. You can see the wear bars on this tire. You can also see that the left side in the video is worn down more than the right side, and this would be an indication that the alignment in the car is off. And once any of these wear bars is flush with the surface, that's 2/32, that tire is no longer legal to use. So it doesn't matter that you may have more tread depth on one side. Once one of these is down to 2/32, your tire is no longer legal, and the real key is you really run the risk of hydroplaning the next time it rains. And by the way, what I can see here is this side is totally worn smooth, whereas this side I still have these slice slots in the tread, which is indicative that this side is worn down more. Plus I look at the tread here and I can see, just looking at it, that side is shallower than the right side. This is yet another tire. You can see the left side in the video is worn down, and that wear bar is actually flush with the tread surface. And you can see the others are almost flush, but there still is a little bit of a lip there, whereas over here that wear bar is totally flush. So this tire is worn down to 2/32 or less, and therefore is no longer legal and certainly is unsafe. Obviously, yet a different tire. You can see the wear bars right there. You can see that this tire has a lot of tread left. However, if you look closely, you can see some cracking inside those grooves, and that's indicative that the tire has aged out. It's not worn out from a tread standpoint, but it is aged out. The rubber has gotten hard and brittle with age, and it is time for a new tire because that is certainly weakening the tire. But you can see there the wear bar. You have plenty of tread left. However, you've got that cracking, which is indicative of an aged out tire. The aged out tire I just showed you, if you look at the sidewall of the tire, you're going to see a DOT code, Department of Transportation. The first two sets of letters and numbers tell you the make and model and where it was produced. The 2819 is actually a date code, and that tells you that this tire was manufactured the 28th week of 2019. 28th week of 2019. That means it's 2024 right now, September. So that means this tire is about 5 years old. This is the tire that had the cracking in the tread grooves. So after 5 years, this tire has aged out. This is the other side of that same tire, the DOT code. Note that the date code is not on this sidewall. Typically the date code is only on one side of the tire, one sidewall of the tire. So if the side you're looking at doesn't have a date code, then it's going to be on the other side. You may need to, get under the car to see that. One indication of the date code versus the rest of the letters and numbers is that you can see that the 2819 is surrounded by an oval. And that's because the mold that this tire is made in the A30F WD3H are part of the mold. However, that 2819 is an insert that goes into the mold and is changed weekly so that the tires coming down the assembly, down the manufacturing line, show the correct date code. And because that's an insert that goes into the larger mold, oftentimes there is that indentation around it, and that's your indication that that is the date code. Final review here. I have marked those wear bars on this tire with a tire marker, wax pencil, so you can see those. If we're going to measure the tread depth, the first thing we need to do is make sure that the gauge is zeroed. Okay, make sure that it's zeroed. In the US, we're going to look at 30 seconds of an inch, so it's right on 30 seconds. Then I push the plunger back out. I put this in the tread groove. I don't put it on the wear bar. Push that down. I look. Hopefully I can get it in focus. Barely. There, I moved it to the side so you can see there that I'm less than 10. I'm just on the 9:30 seconds mark. So that tread depth for that groove would be 9:30 seconds. All right. Then I'm going to check one of the center two grooves. You can check all the grooves if you want. Check the center two. It should match. And check the other outer groove. And check to make sure that matches. All right. They should all be the same depth. If they're not the same depth, then that's an indication, again, that your alignment and or suspension needs some work. And you can see here that this is only 4:30 seconds on the outside. So this tire definitely came off a vehicle with some alignment and or suspension issues.